Welcome to the show, and today we will be reviewing the book Best Year Ever. And to help me do that is my friend Andrew Mutua. Karibu sana.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, how have you been?
I've been well. It's been
Yes.
a good week.
The Best Year Ever. You suggested we read this book. Yeah, here it is, The Best Year Ever by
Michael Hyatt.
Hyatt. Yeah. Why did you pick up on this book, Best Year Ever?
I think so far this is probably the best goal-setting book I've ever read.
Okay.
I think he has distilled the process step by step in a fairly simplistic way, but yet very powerful in the way he just brought out the message.
Okay, good. That is great. Now, on a general overview, what is the book all about, and what are some of the things that just picks your mind or you remember as you were reading the book?
Okay, so he outlines 5 steps towards doing your goal setting, tracking, and eventually achieving them.
Right.
Step number 1, it talks about beliefs.
Okay.
It says most of the time we start from the wrong premise. So I think people immediately dive into the goal setting approach, the writing down, the declaring your goals, but then you don't look at the background, and that's what step 1 does.
Okay.
Step 2 goes into completing what he calls completing your past. So, making amends on your past even as you plan to move forward into the future. Step 4 talks about your why, identifying what is your why, what's the reason why you're working towards those goals that you've outlined. And then step 5 is just making it all happen, getting down to the dirty work of doing it.
Okay, good. I think that will be the outline how we will be able to maybe review and dive into a bit of details. And as I was going through the book, the first chapter really struck me like belief is a very big part of goal setting and achieving. Yeah, so I don't know, what is your take on the set now? Can you expound to us more about the belief bit?
Yeah, I think one of this quotes that you will pick up when you read the book, it says your beliefs shape your life.
Yeah.
And this is so powerful. I think we've been talking about the idea of mindset, and that everything begins with your mind. So the thoughts, the beliefs that you hold drive the actions and ultimately the results that you manifest.
Right.
So you need to address those. And many of us have got these elements he calls limiting beliefs.
Right.
So beliefs that don't serve us,
right.
Beliefs that probably make us think, oh, okay, that is way out of my reach. I can't reach that. I cannot ever attain that. So you have that level of doubt.
Yeah.
So in the beginning, step 1 is addressing that aspect. How do we liberate ourselves from limiting beliefs and then be able to now move forward to set our goals and then eventually work towards attaining our goals?
So what do you think if someone has a limiting belief on a certain aspect? Maybe they feel like they will never get enough money to pay all their bills. The moment they change their belief, does it have any impact in terms of now their ability to get money and pay their bills and sort out their financial issue without even doing any activity in terms of running a business, getting an extra job? Does just changing the belief?
No.
Yeah.
The belief is just one part of it. So one, what the belief will do is to make it in your mind believe that it is possible.
Okay.
And that's the first step. You need to believe that it is possible to change your current circumstances.
Yeah.
And then with that premise, with that, starting off from that level, you then can be able to imagine, oh, what are the ways I can be able to relieve myself this huge debt? What are the ways that I can be more financially free? And then you realize, okay, I've got talents that I could use here. I've got opportunities that I could take advantage of. So that opens up your mind and your creativity levels to now be able to tackle the task at hand. So anytime when we talk of and this is a very important point you're raising, because sometimes people might just think, oh, it's just a belief and then that's it. Then just things will magically happen. You will still need to take action, you will still need to proceed with a faith that you will make that which you thought is possible become reality.
Yeah. So what I'm getting from you, the belief part is very important, but it is not the whole game. There's still action to be taken and things to be done. That would be good. Now, once we have dealt with the belief, I think as I was going through the book, it reinforced one of the points that I did this year as we were starting, is to review the past year, looking at what is it that went well, what is it that I was able to accomplish, what is it that I had challenges in, and what are the lessons that I've learned and all that. So when we're dealing with the past, how important is it to help us have the best year ever, which is in the future?
Yes. So this is step number 2 on completing your past. And here he introduces us to a tool that is used by, that was first introduced by the US military, called After Action Review. I think it's a tool that you will find in a lot of corporates. I think it's been mainstreamed in other facets of our lives. So what it does is it's exactly that. It reviews your past year or so, or your past generally. Are there some unfinished business you need to tackle? Are there certain things that didn't go as you had expected that you could be able to glean out some lessons out of? And are there even some wins that you need to celebrate? Because part of your past review is also to acknowledge the bad that happened and that you could learn off from, and also acknowledge the good that happened that you could also celebrate. Celebrating is also a very vital aspect of the goal setting process.
Good. So in the same area also it talks about gratitude. I believe, being grateful is a very key aspect in terms of motivating yourself, and also finding the motivation and resource within yourself and from the past of what you have been able to accomplish or what you already have, being very great things. But I've never thought about regret as a resource, but it talks about regret as a resource.
It talks about regret.
Tell us about that. Yeah.
Okay. So regret, it says, many a times when we think of regret, people take the other side of it, which is they tend to beat themselves up. That self-condemnation aspects, he says, it's not very helpful. So what you want to focus on is not you as a person, is your performance. What areas can you improve on? Regret always highlights or gives us an opportunity to make certain changes or adjust our behaviors to bring out what we desired. Because if you're having a regret, then you're sort of calling yourself out. You're always saying, okay, I really didn't perform as I had expected. I'm not happy about that. How can I change that the next time? And that's what regret does. So he says, don't waste your regrets. Make good use of them so that you improve or you continually manifest a better version of yourself day by day.
That's correct. Actually, I think there is a point. He says the moment you have regret, it's an indication from within.
Yes.
That you need to actually, there's something that you need to do about it. It's like an indicator telling you, here there's something that really not going.
Correct. Yeah.
Well. Good. So we believe that we can be able to do this. We have dealt with the past. What is the next step now that we go into?
So step number 3 is designing your life. Which then looks at the goal setting framework that he has designed. And this goal setting framework is premised on 7 points. So 7 points, which is the acronym SMARTER. So I think a lot of us are familiar with the most common goal setting approach, which is the SMART approach. And the SMART approach is basically an acronym standing for specific, measurable, actionable, realistic, and timely. But he has changed all that. His approach is, he calls it SMARTER, where he has added an ER at the end. And his stands for specific, measurable, actionable. Instead of realistic, he calls them risky goals, time keyed or time bound, exciting for the E, And then the last one, relevant.
Okay.
Yes.
So how does the exciting and relevant give us a different take on SMART goals?
SMART goals.
Yeah.
So I want to probably maybe make a mention of the risky part, even as I mentioned the areas that you've just mentioned.
Yeah.
So one, and I think we highlighted this in our past book reviews, where we said really goals should be goals that take you out of your comfort zone into a discomfort zone.
Yeah.
They should challenge you. They should be goals that scare you. They should be goals when you think about, wow, man, am I going to hit that or not?
Yeah.
So that's what he talks about, the risky aspect. And I agree. I think when you talk of realistic goals, you're putting the bar way too low. It doesn't give you the juice to wake up and hustle. So we need to set risky, scary, those hairy, audacious goals.
Yeah.
The aspect of exciting is, again, goals should be goals that excite you, that challenge you, that make you, want to wake up in the morning and get down to it. So that's the element of exciting. And then lastly, the relevant aspect is, it talks of, we all make goals probably based on the season of life that we are in.
Right.
If you're a young adult looking to get into the marriage life, probably one of your goals will be getting a life partner. If you're just straight out of college, one of your goals would be, looking out for a certain job that pays a certain level and that challenges you in around your skill set. Mm-hmm. So you want to ensure that it's relevant in the time that you're around. It's also relevant to your values. Mm-hmm. And then it should also align with your other goals. You don't want to be shooting all over. Your goals, in a sense, should carry a certain theme. So they should, in a sense, be helping you. So they should not, in a sense, be conflicted goals. That's what he was trying to get at. Yeah.
And I think I've come to see that a lot, especially in big organizations where they set goals. These are our goals this year, but the employees or people who work in these companies, those goals are not theirs. They don't feel as if they help them. Okay. So to them, they're irrelevant. And the company might be wondering, why don't we have a lot of support coming from our employees trying to help us get this goal? And just because it is irrelevant to them, maybe from the director's board of governors point of view, it's really relevant, but there is a conflict there, and maybe that makes people not be willing to put in as much as is needed.
Correct.
Yeah. Now, we create goals that are smarter. Mm-hmm. Now for the first step.
So the fourth step then focuses on identifying your big why.
Yeah.
If you don't have a reason why, then you're likely not to be consistently following through on your goals. Mm-hmm. So one, you want to identify what is the reason why you have set goal A. Are you just doing it because you've been motivated by society, or you're fulfilling what other people have told you? Just pretty much what you are saying.
Yeah.
In a corporate or company setting, where certain goals, don't resonate with your staff.
Yeah.
So yes, they will applaud and say, okay, we are all pushing towards these strategic objectives, but down the line, they will each be pushing their own agendas. Right. So you find there'll be a lot of energy lost, and ultimately, as a company, you are likely not to hit your goals because you didn't align. And that's part of the goal setting, particularly in a company setting, is you want to ensure when you're doing like your performance review for your staff, that the strategic objectives from an organization standpoint have been cascaded down to an individual perspective, such that if we are saying as a company we need to hit this revenue target, what have you set for me at an individual level? And that's part of the why. So it's important for us to find out what is personally motivating us to push, or the reasons why we want to attain a certain goal as an individual or even as an organization. And that will help you even in the toughest of times, because they are bound to happen, to stick with it.
Right.
Setting goals doesn't mean that it's automatic that you'll attain them. Obstacles will be there. Difficult times when you question yourself will be there. And part of the reason of identifying your why is to be able to overcome these times.
Okay, and finally to the last step. It's okay.
Today I have a cold.
It's okay. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. Finally, after we have defined our why, we get to the work.
Get to the work. Make
Yes,
it all
yes.
happen. Just do it.
Yeah, just making it happen.
Yes.
And I think it is in the book The Greatest Salesman by Og Mandino. Yeah, the greatest salesman in the world. He talks about action, taking action, and it's quite a very profound. He says, irrespective of how detailed a map you have, it can never take you to the place you want to go unless you take the first step. A lion is courageous and as that big animal we know about, the lion, fierce. Unless it decides to go and hunt, it will die of hunger. There's the bit of what are your capability, your potential, what you can be able to do, and then there's taking action. So in this book, what was the take from Michael's perspective in the book of taking action and making it happen?
Oh, he introduces a very good idea. There's one he calls the action triggers.
Okay.
And he gives the example of how he's set his life, he's reorganized his life. So like one of them, he used to be such a workaholic, so that meant his family life was suffering while he was spending more time in the office.
Right.
And one of the ideas in terms of what he says in goal setting, he wants to ensure that all the domains or facets that make up your life, your career, your finances, your family, all this, you need to pay attention to them. So it's not like being 100% focused on one and forgetting the other. So what he did is simple things. Like he says he has put automatic sensors on in his office lighting that exactly at 6 p.m. they go off.
Okay.
This is to tell him, he has to shut down and leave and go to the house. He has even set that such that even when he's setting his meetings, he ensures that if somebody calls him for a meeting, he tells them, ensure at least by 5:55 we are done, because I need to be on my way heading home to spend time with his wife and kids. So it's that kind of things. The other one maybe he gave, which I think many people relate, is people set a goal to, I want to be healthy. So I want to be running at least 5 times a day every morning before I go to work. So like one thing he does is he sets his sporting gear ready to go the night before. And it brought up this idea of thinking ahead of time or making decision ahead of time. So you don't want at the time that you have set to do it is when you're fumbling around to get your things ready. So you want to plan ahead of time, make decisions ahead of time, and set those action triggers that then help you at least be able to keep at your goal. You might have those habit goals that you have to be doing every morning. So I felt that was a very good, so the action triggers, and I think it will be very important for people to read that, to fully internalize the ideas he's putting forth with regards to that. But that helps you be more consistent and keeping at your goal. There's another one he mentioned, and I would want your take about it, where he talks about, you can never do this by yourself. And he introduces the idea of joining clubs, having accountability groups, and mentors. So what can you speak on about that?
I think that is a very important aspect, because in goal setting, some of these things are personal, and you really want to achieve them for your own personal reasons, and even your spouse or the person next to you might not understand why you want to do this. But I realized that it's not a fight that you can win alone. It's important to bring in other people into your life who will be able to help you get there. And I think you've just talked about like accountability group. An accountability group or even an accountability partner is a very key person who has no direct benefit from your goals, but the fact that they keep pushing you, they keep asking you, you said you will do this, how far are you? And maybe vice versa, you're also keeping them accountable on their goals. It really pushes you and makes you be able to achieve more. I think from a personal level, we started an accountability group partnership, me and you.
Yes.
And through that, I've been able to write 2 books. Just because you have been, I know someone will ask me, how far are you? You said by the end of this week, you will be done by this chapter. So an accountability partner or an accountability group is very great. Just maybe to talk about, LYP. LYP is the League of Young Professionals. They gave me this cap here. They also have these accountability groups. And we are both members of LYP and these accountability groups. And I'm sure they have really assisted us in also achieving our goals. The fact that we meet regularly, we share, we talk about our challenges, our wins, and accountability group has a very big impact. Number 2, there is the aspect of having mentors. Now, this is not an accountability partner, but someone who is able to, probably they have gone through what you are going through at that particular point. So they have seen some things in advance and they can bring them to your attention and they can guide you. You don't need to do the same mistake maybe other people have done, so they kind of fast track your journey to your achievement, and they bring in a different perspective. We all have our own perspective. We see things from where we are seated, but someone who has been there, they give you a much better perspective, and it cuts down the time that it takes for you to achieve a goal. So bringing in these key people into your life very important. And I think also, though this is quite an informal setup of accountability, going public with your goals. I read a book, The Compound Effect. I think it is in The Compound Effect, or Darren Hardy keeps on talking about it. There's a guy who was fighting to stop smoking. But then one day he just came to the office and told everyone, I have stopped smoking. And the fact that he knew next time he has that urge to smoke, and everyone in the office know that he has stopped smoking, he has that kind of, no, I can't let them down. So they are keeping you accountable, quote unquote, but because you have made it public, you really want to show them that you will live up to your word.
Correct.
You tell people, I really want to cut weight. So next time they see you eating junk food and unhealthy food, you feel self-conscious and you're like, no, this is not what I want to do. They see you just lazing around, you feel like you need to be able to,
they're calling you out on it.
to go out and do something. So that is quite informative. I think the last big thing we can talk about is once you start taking these actions, you bring in these people, other people to help you achieve it. There's the bit of tracking. There's the bit of being able to see what are the results so far. Is it working? Do I need to change something? Do I need to add? Do I need to remove? So based on tracking, how does he suggest we can be able to do our tracking?
Okay, so he introduces several reviews, so what he calls goal reviews. And he says you need to be able to be reviewing your goals on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis, and on a quarterly basis. And the idea is to ensure, one, that they are front and center. Then two is sometimes, he says, don't be stuck with your strategy. Your strategy is not sacred. So it's trying to allude to the point that, you might have said to attain this goal, I will do 1, 2, 3, 4. But when you go on the ground, you might realize 1, 2, 3, 4 doesn't work out. So you may have to change your approach, you may have to change your strategy. Sometimes you may even have to abandon your goal, or you may have to tweak it a bit. And that's the purpose of the review. So the review is to do a self-reflection. The review is to, point out any lessons learned. The review is also to document the progress that you're making and that kind of a thing. So he says, do a weekly review, do a daily review, weekly, monthly, and quarterly.
Yeah.
And then, of course, at the end of the year, as you plan now another milestone. So all this time you'll be tracking your milestones. What have you achieved? Celebrating your achievements, and also doing lessons learned and reflections and changes, course correcting where needed. So that's the purpose of the tracking element.
Thank you very much. Now, as I come to the last question, I think I'll just talk to our viewers and tell them if there's any book that you would like us to review, or please leave it in the comment below. Tell us this book is what you would like us to review. If you know a local author who has written a book, you can let us know about them. Leave a comment, give us their name, the book. We will also be looking forward to doing reviews of local books, and also inviting local authors to come into this platform and share about their books, and also get feedback from the others. So let's keep it interactive. Leave a comment below if you like this book review. Let us know which book you would like us to review next. Any local author that you think we should also be able to review their work, and invite them to our studio and be able to have this discussion. To my last question, Mr. Andrew, best year ever. When should we read this book? Is it a book that we should always be reading at the beginning of the year to set ourselves up, or at the end of the year to be able to prepare for the next year? Or is it, when should we read this book?
Today is usually the perfect time to make any change.
Right.
So if you want your year to begin today, you can set your year to begin today on the 23rd of November 2019. And going forward, that can be your best year ever. Now, all these are constructs that man has built, the 24-hour system, 7-day work, 7-day weeks, 30 to 31 months. All these are constructs. So what I'm trying to get at is, probably this is an opportune time, because we are coming to the close of the year 2019 and proceeding to the year 2020. So you might find reading this book is timely to help you probably now plan for a better year in the year 2020. But that you're not constrained by that. You're not constrained by a January 1st. Your year can start any moment. And I encourage you not to wait any further. If you want to set your goals after reading this group and following the steps that Michael Hyatt has set, you can do that.
Right. Thank you very much. I really appreciate Brother Andrew. And let's keep engaging. Leave a comment, like this video, and I also request that subscribe to this channel. We'll be bringing you more and more valuable content, book reviews, some life skills training, personal development stuff that you will need to be able to grow and proceed and even achieve your greatest potential. So like the video, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel, and also press on the bell so that you can be able to get notification each and every time we upload a new video. Thank you very much, and see you next time.
Thank you.